It's a big news day for WWE and AEW, so I'm going to kick things off with AEW really quick. For those who are wondering what's going on with AEW All In at Wembley Stadium, they already have pre-sale signups. So this doesn't actually equate to ticket sales just yet. Obviously, this is not the exact number of people who are buying tickets, but I think this is a good start to determine whether or not there is excitement for AEW doing a stadium show. For those who watch AEW and are curious to see where things stand, it's been noted that the pre-sale registration for the show had generated 25,000 plus signups. Now, to give you an idea, this stadium can hold about 90,000 people, but maybe even more depending on the actual setup for the ring and the seats and stuff like that. Now, WWE did around 62,000 for Clash at the Castle, which is a really good indicator that WWE, has a good enough audience in the UK. And for those who don't know, AEW is also very, very popular in the UK. So I imagine that AEW is also going to do relatively close to those WWE numbers. To give you an idea, WWE had about 59,000 signups roughly for pre-sale, and then they did about 62,000. So what I would say is if AEW can get anywhere 40,000 and plus, that would be a big success. Keep in mind, this is their first time doing a stadium show, and it's actually outside of America, which will be a pretty big deal. And then also keep in mind too, AEW does have a really, really good television deal in the UK. So as we get closer and closer to the event, depending on how they set it up logistically, maybe AEW could even do more tickets. But again, 25,000 does not mean 25,000 people bought tickets. It just means on the first day of pre-sale signups, being given the opportunity to buy tickets right away, 25,000 people signed up. And also just another factor too is ticket sales. With ticket sales is how much tickets actually cost. Will this be a more expensive event? Obviously, that is something that we'll have to look into as time goes on. All right, now we're going to focus on WWE. Very quickly, Worked Wrestling dropping some really big news on Twitter today, putting out a tweet. Discussions have taken place which would see Legado del Fantasma transition away from their old name and become known full-time as the LWO. And this is exciting news. A lot of people have been wondering what's going to happen to the LWO with the creative situation with Vince or with Triple H. And we do know on Smackdown right now, as it stands, they are slated to be on the show. And we know Santos Escobar does have a match that was announced. So if WWE does move forward with LWO, regardless if it's Triple H, regardless if it's Vince McMahon, it seems like the WWE is somewhat behind them with this storyline that is going on between Ray, Dom, Damian Priest, and of course Bad Bunny. I look at this as a good example of WWE, doing right by NXT call-ups, because obviously this is an NXT call-up, and they were part of NXT 2.0, and when you see that, it's really important WWE does get that right. And I think more importantly, if WWE is going to do NXT 2.0 call-ups, you're not going to transition them to the main roster and have them fail. Every time I talk about this, I give off quite a few examples, but Adam Rose is my favorite example. Adam Rose was absolutely legendary in NXT. He had the crowd going, and he even transitioned from a serious character to a comedy character, and for some reason, even that comedy character was treated like shit on the main roster. So when things like that happen, people typically point the fingers at Vince McMahon. Right now, we don't really know who's running creative. We don't know if it's Vince. We don't know if it's Triple H. But if that's the case, well, you know what? Whoever's responsibility it is, they got to make sure that NXT call-ups are treated the right way, because this is how main roster fans are going to put people over, especially when you look at this entire group and you look at what they're doing with Zelina Vega. I would say they have a lot of potential. Now, with that being said, a lot of people are asking about the creative direction of WWE, and more specifically, is Vince McMahon going to be in charge, especially for SmackDown? Now, when you look at all of the plans that have been announced for SmackDown, it actually very much looks like a Triple H type of show. Now, a lot of people are talking about whether or not Vince McMahon is running the show, and some people are even speculating that Triple H could be running the show in person, but Vince McMahon could be running the show creatively. Now, with that being said, technically speaking, as of right now, WWE has not pulled Triple H from his title, meaning Triple H is still the head of the creative. Now, this is where things get confusing, because technically Vince McMahon is the executive chairman of this new company that is merged between the WWE and UFC. So if Vince McMahon is the executive chairman and Triple H is the head of creative, then what does that make Triple H in the grand scheme of things? Because if he's not actually running creative, that would mean he is Vince McMahon's fall guy. Now, keep in mind, Triple H is expected to be on SmackDown to make some sort of announcement or talk to people. My guess is it's going to be the same exact thing that we saw Monday, but this time they're going to do it for SmackDown because of Fox. And my belief is that if Vince McMahon is running creative, we're going to find out immediately after SmackDown. But there are rumors out there, and again, these are rumors. Nothing credible has announced this, but there are rumors that Triple H and Vince McMahon will work together to try and make a better show. I don't know if this is wishful thinking. I don't know if there's any credibility behind these rumors. I don't know if this is something that's really coming out from WWE. I know Fightful had also dropped a report that WWE officials and higher-ups were hopeful that Triple H would be running the show. So again, being hopeful and whether that's actually happening are two different things. So that is something to keep in mind, but I will keep you guys updated. Is Triple H leaving the WWE? Technically, as of right now, he still has his title. Is Vince McMahon running creative? Technically, no. But is he running creative? If you know what I mean, I think we all know where we're kind of going with this. And I think that's kind of the scary part, and we're still trying to find out more. Guys, WWE is reportedly pulling Drew McIntyre from television. Now, I need to break this down for you guys because this is quite insane, to be honest with you. This information kind of scares me. So if you don't know, Drew McIntyre has been reportedly pulled from tonight's SmackDown and meet and greets in Portland. Now, according to PW Insider, many people are wondering what's going on here because of the fact that he's been pulled. And the report noted that McIntyre was initially set to appear on tonight's taping, but as of now, he's been removed from the plans. In addition to SmackDown, McIntyre was slated to do a local autograph signing with Cricket Wireless, but in the wake of his absence, Gunther had stepped in instead. Now, the reason why this is a big conversation, the reason why this is a big topic is because Drew McIntyre is reportedly working on a new contract with WWE. However, it appears that he's very far apart from this. If you guys missed my previous videos, I've already discussed this, but the conversation is now about whether or not Drew McIntyre is being pulled from TV. Is it because he's sick? Because this is something that Drew McIntyre, a lot of people didn't know. In the past year, Drew McIntyre had been sick quite often, and he was still putting on the show. Now, the rumor is that Drew McIntyre could just be working on a new deal with WWE, maybe being pulled from WWE because there's a potential future with AEW. I don't want to speculate on AEW potentially bringing in Drew Galloway, but as far as Drew McIntyre goes, he's off of TV. WWE has removed him, and they have no sort of details or in-depth anything in regards to this topic. So it is a little bit unfortunate, but we'll see what happens. I am very nervous to see how WWE goes forward because there's just so much confusion right now. But hopefully we're bringing you guys a little bit of clarity as time goes on. So if you guys want more videos like this, you already know what to do. Just click that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.